Thank you for joining us for the next issue of NiUG's Plugged-In Podcast. Today, our guest speaker is Beth Arritt, and she is the Association Evangelist for the HigherLogic product and suite of products. So I'm going to let her take it over and introduce herself for a moment, and then we'll get started on some questions that I know you're dying to answer for me, Beth.
I am. So thanks for having me. I'm really excited about this. Thanks for asking me. I am the Association Evangelist for HigherLogic, which means I kind of get to go out and talk about all things association, how awesome it is, how we can use technology better to help us, because you show me an association that says they have too many staff, and I'll show you a liar. Every association is overworked, understaffed, usually underpaid. And when I was at my last association, we had iMIS, we had HigherLogic, and we had our HigherLogic communities, and we had Informs, which is now part of HigherLogic. And if we hadn't had that combination, all the automation that was involved, we never could have done all of the things that we did, just because no small staff can do it, all of that stuff without automation, without things that are just happening on their own. And so I am a big proponent, and I'm lucky that HigherLogic let me come out here and do this and play, and I still get to play in iMIS all the time, which makes me so happy because I love iMIS. I know I'm probably the only person who says that on a regular basis, but I do. So yeah, I've spent over 25 years in mostly nonprofit associations doing marketing and marketing automation. I was doing email marketing before email marketing was a thing. So I'm old, but I've had
Let's not go down that path, okay?
Yeah, well, I like to, I've been able to develop the strategy as it comes along, which gives me a little bit of a different perspective on it sometimes, I think. So it's been a lot of fun, and I am excited to talk about iMIS EMS.
And I'm excited to have you talk about it. So the first thing that I wanted to ask you, I know you're someone who works with the iMIS community and iMIS users on a daily basis, and you're an advocate for those users. And I know you've showed us a ton of things that we can do to help utilize our use of HigherLogic and getting people more engaged. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you first and foremost is, when you heard that iMIS was everyone was having to upgrade to iMIS EMS, what was your initial thought when you found out that they weren't going to be able to utilize SQL?
I'm going to assume this is a family-friendly podcast, and therefore I cannot repeat my initial thoughts upon hearing that they were going to cut access to SQL. But I will attempt to paraphrase in a family-friendly manner that it's such an effective. Are you kidding me? Yes, I just kept the words. Yeah. What the? Really?
You're very good at paraphrasing.
Thank you. So I was terrified, because so much of what we did to make iMIS a true database-driven website version, so much of what we were able to do, I built an entire conference portal in there. I had built all of these things that you could just put the information in one place and then output it everywhere. And then if you have a change, you just change it. It just changes everywhere. It's amazing. It's what database-driven websites are truly meant to be. I built an entire online conference delivery platform in Rise that was like so automated, it was scary. You registered for a conference, you got access to exactly what you paid for. You couldn't get in if you weren't registered at all. I mean, like everything all done by IQA, right out to what the output is, even the video, everything. And so much of that depended on being able to do a little bit with SQL. I mean, obviously custom SQL output in the IQA, but definitely certain things that you couldn't really do in IQA because it was a little more complex, you'd have to do in SQL and bring it in as a view and then just output it that way. And so that was even just that small piece of it. Then there were all of the complicated things that we did that required us to really go do some links in the back end with SQL and then bring them in as a new view. There were scripts that we had to run that we couldn't run. And I was just terrified. I'm like, there's no way this is going to work. I was like, no, you can't make me over my dead body. That's going to happen.
Be careful what you say.
Yeah. So yeah, I was concerned.
That's putting it lightly. So now that you've gotten your hands on the new iMIS EMS, what can you tell us? I wanted to ask you to do one of these podcasts because as a desktop user, yes, I'm dating myself. Yes, I'll even tell you that I go back as far as iMIS LAN, which has been, 20
I've never even heard of that.
years. It was like the very first product that they had. So, and now, I'm a desktop user and I know that I have to move and do the training and get, more acclimated to iMIS EMS. But what were your initial thoughts once you saw the product, once you started working with it? Because you're hands-on, you're helping clients figure out what they can do to utilize HigherLogic and the Thrive system and be able to really increase their engagement. So tell me some of the things that you noticed once you got your hands on the product.
So a few of the things I noticed kind of right away. It's faster. It's a lot faster. Oh my goodness, is it faster? I mean, I can sum it up in one. I can sum up like my overall thoughts in one, and then I'll break it down a little bit. My overall thought was that how did they manage to go from 20.2 to 20.3 and take it like 5-10 years of versions all at once?
Wow. That's pretty impressive. If you're saying that it's advanced way past what you expected it to advance to, basically.
It not only past what I expected, what I could have expected if I had said this is my expectation, still beyond that.
Right. And let me just interject right here, okay? You're not being paid any extra other than what you're being paid by HigherLogic to do your job.
HigherLogic doesn't pay me to talk about iMIS, really. I mean, yeah. This is just
all right. I just want to make that clear to all of the listeners.
This anybody who's watching this knows me and knows that I'm no bull.
Yeah.
And if you're watching this and you don't know me, go find anybody who does. I'm no bull. I will also sit here and tell you about like what they still need to do, but that's a whole other story. But I mean, I was amazed. I still am. I go in and play with it and I'm just like giddy. I feel like a kid in a candy shop because what I did, the conference portal, everything else I was talking about, haven't done the online conference platform, but that's because there are now products out there that will do what mine would do back in the day when everybody was still trying to catch up with what I built and Rise. No shade on anyone. It was just, I was lucky that I already had 90% of what I needed in place to be able to just finish that last piece. Right. Whereas everybody else was like, they hadn't built a lot of that stuff that was needed. Yeah. I mean, nobody expected the pandemic. So, is what it is. So,
amen.
Yeah. So I was just, I think it's taking me about 1/10 of the time probably to build that conference portal in EMS. Not that I haven't done the online delivery part, but all of the stuff where I'm talking about, you put certain pieces of information in there and then you output it as like a dynamic agenda. So you can output all these different ways.
Which is extremely beneficial because then you're not having to change it in 500 different areas.
Yeah. Dynamic bios. Dynamic bios, dynamic sponsorship information.
Right.
You change it one place. That's what a true data-driven website has always been meant to be. Yeah. And that's what they've got there if you choose to do it. And they've made it so much easier. I mean, yes, okay, I've built it once, so there is going to be a little bit more ease because I know what I'm building.
Yeah.
But just between, first of all, what I built relies heavily on Panel Editor, which anybody who hasn't used EMS, you're going, oh God. You mean click a button, go get a coffee, come back, and it might have loaded Panel Editor? That's the number one change in speed.
Yeah.
Like, it is freaking Usain Bolt now compared to what it was.
That's awesome.
Like, it's a Ferrari. It's like zoom. And that alone saves just so much time, not sitting there waiting for it to load.
Right.
It's the little things, right?
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you have done with it? Like I saw you do some volunteer work for the Asia Pacific chapter. Mm-hmm. Well, now I've roped you in.
Hey, I have been offering since I started. I'm like, I'm all over. NiUG was the first thing we did. Not being paid for this either, folks. The first thing we did after we signed with iMIS was join NiUG before we even like launched. And it's such a huge help. I'm always happy to help with the NiUG community, like chat with people, do whatever I can to help people advance, because NiUG is amazing. And Michelle,
we appreciate
Michelle is a rock star, but you know,
she
did pay me to say no. We know each other.
So what are some of the other things that you're doing? Because I've seen what you're doing for the AP chapter and doing exactly what you were just talking about. And that is bringing dynamic pages for their conference to the forefront and being able to utilize both HigherLogic and iMIS in that capacity is amazing. So talk a little bit more about some other things that you're doing.
Sure. Well, so I mean, I will say that just for that piece, the combination of the speed of panel editor and of the fact that panel editor now makes real tables, which means you can work with them a little bit better as opposed to the way in XML, way better. And the fact that now it doesn't have to be attached to a person's record. You can have standalone panel tables, you can have ones attached to events, and you can have them attached to a person. That alone, those three things make it so possible to do so many things. And then on top of that, whereas before, I'm always, any of these automatic dynamic things I'm going to talk about here in a second, that I've had to do before in the past, I'd have to figure out exactly what the HTML needs to look like, figure if there's any CSS that needs to go in there, and then have custom SQL that goes into the IQA and outputs. And of course, like most things with IQA, it has to be pretty basic. If it gets too complex, it just can't handle it.
And it also slows down your time as far as loading the results as well.
Yep. So, and that's where the SQL, being able to go in the SQL came in, because if it was more complex, you'd go into SQL and write it, and then you'd output it. Well, they've got these IQA template display now. Okay. So much like when you bring an IQA into the email program, like, so you're going to create an email, send somebody like confirmation email, whatever. You know, you've got the IQA and you bring information, you can choose the different fields and make it look that way. Okay. They've done the same thing for any IQA output.
Oh, nice.
They've got the same exact template display thing, which has made things so much easier. They still haven't cracked the issue of not showing a blank field. Okay. But I have been told that it is coming very soon. It's actually in beta, I think, is what they told me when we were at Discovery. Okay. So that's coming, which is amazing. That's a huge game changer. Definitely. Too. Yeah. And then the other thing I was worried about was not being able to like build tables in the back or something, but they've got Expression Builder that allows you to handle some of that. So I mean, you really don't need the SQL access. And I mean, to the point of what I've been building, I've done a lot of work on the agenda, obviously, for the upcoming NiUG AP Discovery Conference. Mm-hmm. I've done some work with IQAs getting groups together so that we've done some automation based on activity in iMIS, automation that flows into in forms. Okay. And we'll do different actions based on what people have done. So we've got some automation running there. You're taking notes of what we're going to be doing next. I have plans, don't worry. And what we're working on now is actually a hybrid website. So instead of being all rise, oh, now I feel like I'm in a court. All rise. Instead of just being an all rise website, it will be this combination of community and like community has a CMS built into it. So when you land, you'll land on the community essentially as the main website. And if you log in, it will look completely different. So it's meant to facilitate community activity. But then we all know that there's all of these other things that just work way better in Rise when you're an iMIS user. So it's going to be a back and forth so that it's kind of seamless. Okay. So that's part one that I'm really excited about, because.
So were you able to manipulate the design so that it's the same design throughout, regardless of whether you're looking at a Rise page versus HigherLogic page?
It is going to be as close as we can humanly get it. Yes. Can I promise it's 100%? No, because I'm just not that good. But it will be as close as we can humanly get it. The idea is to not make it seem to make it seem as seamless as possible.
Right.
So then the other exciting piece is that because the communities have RSS feeds, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be able to bring RSS feeds from the NiUG International community over here into the NiUG AP site. So now you've got a running feed, whereas before it's like, oh, you have to remember to go over there. Now you're going to have a feed, so you can immediately say, oh, that's a conversation of interest. Click, it'll take you right over there.
Right.
And likewise, we'll put the AP ones over there. So there's trying to facilitate more conversation among the different regions too. Take advantage of what the software offers.
Awesome. That's great. Some of the things that you're doing for us.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about those? Because we're going to start utilizing Thrive. So we're going to be changing over from our current version of HigherLogic and move over to the Thrive products. At the same time as upgrading to EMS, which is going to be boatloads of fun on all levels.
The Thrive upgrade is so easy; it will be painless. I've seen people go through it. They've got this whole tool that will do it. That will essentially what it is. This is a simplification of it, but what it is essentially is they're going to create a new microsite on your existing one,
right?
And so that we can get the look and feel right of whatever we want.
Yes.
And then when we've got that right, there's a tool that will like basically just, I don't understand how this part works. Somebody waves their magic wand and it like moves everything in the way it needs to be. So now you've got this whole new member feed.
Okay.
Which is sort of similar to what you're used to seeing on LinkedIn or Facebook or like that. And it's putting things like right there in front of people that they're interested in. So it's kind of like LinkedIn where you see a feed and it's actually got, or your Instagram feed, or we're going to call it, but it's things specific about iMIS and it's events, and it's all based on your interests.
Yeah, I think it's very cool looking. I like the whole, it's almost like your social media page. You can go in there, you can tag things that you really are interested in, things that you don't have time to look into now, but want to later on in the week or something. And that way
you can follow the conversations. Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that about it. I also love the fact that now the Informs product, which is, you guys are calling it the marketing product.
Thrive marketing.
Thrive.
HigherLogic Thrive marketing. Yep.
Thank you. I love the fact that now those two are really communicating together and you're able to really hone in on engagement and being able to easily invite people to be part of a specific community. And those were things that you could relatively do with some ease before, but now they seem like a lot more integrated through the API that's going on and things of that nature. So I'm super excited to be able to see what you have up your sleeve, and we have a couple others that are donating some time, volunteering some time. Caitlin Goudreau is going to help you out, as well as the lovely Josh from
Web Scribble. Yeah.
Thank you. I was like web Web Scribble. So we're building up a little bit of a team here, which makes me super happy because, as you know, as you said earlier in the broadcast here, everybody needs some extra help, and small organizations struggle to keep up, especially since COVID hit. So we appreciate all of the help that you all are willing to give us. So thank you for that.
We're all very happy to do it. We're really excited to do it. I think that we're all just like feel like really bad that we haven't had the time to finish implementing it yet, because Michelle has gone in and realized, for those of you who don't know, that there might be some people who are like, oh, I don't want to dig into all of this really detailed back end, here's how this works. I have a question about the marketing part of it. I have a question about finance, or I just have a quick events question. And so you've gone in and created some communities, some sub-communities in there that actually are just about that particular topic.
Right. You can hone in on just your craft. So if you're a finance person or an events person, you have your own listserv that you can, I call it a listserv. I apologize. I'm old. This is what we called it in the beginning of time with NiUG. So you can subscribe to your own community and post just specific questions about events. And then you could always cross-post it to the overall open forum. But we're trying to get away from just having that open forum where everybody's posting everything and anything, because there's people that don't feel comfortable. I don't even feel comfortable sometimes going into the open forum. There are some brilliant people in there, and
it always made me nervous to post something. It always made me nervous to post something because I'm like, I feel like I should know this, but everybody was always so nice and helpful.
Yeah,
I just felt weird. I'm like, I feel like I'm wasting your time by asking this, but I will say, so like Caitlin and I went in and did a lot of identification, trying to make sure we could find as many people as possible in the system and make it dynamic so that it would change the list each time as somebody new came in, to invite them into specific communities that might be of interest to them. Right. And we've done some work with automation rules on the community side with that. Obviously, we're pulling in information from iMIS. So we've got like titles and things like that. And then we can see what people post in, what they're interested in, what kind of tags they might use. We're working on updating the taxonomy. So there's a lot of things that went into really analyzing all of this. And once we've got the automation rules that have put them into, invited them to the specific communities, then we're sending the information over to Informs or HigherLogic Thrive Marketing. And because it just immediately flows over, you could do onboarding of new members there from right away. You can do the people who have been members, but we want to engage them in different ways. So we're going to have different campaigns for those different communities that we've invited them to. But then beyond that, just being able to pull engagement in. For example, iMIS, you can use iMIS for engagement scoring. There's also different options in forms. There's an engagement scoring, there's a lead scoring, and there's personas that you can build. And using each one in different ways. The iMIS one, obviously, and the ability to be able to weight it makes it a little bit different. It's more of a true engagement scoring, whereas the personas and lead scoring is a little bit more of a, personas in particular is a little bit more of a ladder-based scoring. Okay. So you can use each one in different ways, and you can bring them all in, and like being able to do that kind of automation and serve up what members need when they need it is very much a holistic view is required to do that. Because if you do an engagement campaign, to use an example that my buddy Viv Swartinsky, who's very, very wise, has brought up, if you do an engagement campaign because somebody's not opening your emails, but they're over and they're very active in your community, or they've got like 3 certifications in iMIS, then you're showing that you don't know them. Yeah. You only care about them opening your emails. That's not the only form of engagement. And the fact that you can bring all of these things in, so when you're actually seeing somebody's truly disengaged, you can start them in an automated campaign and notify membership. Hey, this person just got caught in this campaign. They are seriously disengaged. Yeah. You might want to find out what's going on. Right. So the fact that you can do all of that, and then that frees up membership and marketing, and even events to an extent, to be able to go out and come up with new things. Right. Exactly. And maybe
it's
family
super time consuming. And with iMIS, you have tons and tons of data. Like, we have so much in there, but we probably utilize maybe 10 to 15% of it. And I'm sure that's the case across the board with most associations. So being able to, integrate it with the HigherLogic Thrive product, and be able to really engage our users. And a lot of them don't realize, whenever you have an iMIS question and you post it in that listserv or that community, you're able to get an answer to that question that you would have to otherwise pay, up to a minimum of 15 minutes for consulting time. That adds up very quickly, and our dues are minimal, and based on how many users that someone has in their organization using iMIS. So it can save them hundreds to upwards of thousands of dollars, depending on how much they really utilize it. So, that's why
membership paid for itself every year for us, and then some.
Right. And that's what I want everybody to remember, that we're here to help the iMIS users and save you time, save you money, definitely save you stress. So that's why we've partnered with HigherLogic, and we love the partnership that we have with them, because it's running one of our top benefits of membership, and that's huge for us. And we just want to get the engagement to increase and get people to truly understand the power behind utilizing this product and being able to get them the answers that they need, to use iMIS better, and to partner with awesome people like HigherLogic.
Well, yeah.
So I don't want to keep you much longer, Beth. So is there anything that we haven't touched on that you and I talked about? I know, super excited that we're moving to iMIS EMS. And although I'm scared after using desktop for 20 some years, I'm also super excited because I've watched some of the videos that ASI has, and that we have done, that are on our learning management system, what iMIS EMS can do. And some of it, I'm kind of taken aback, like, oh my God, we should have had this years ago, kind of a thing. So I'm excited about those new things that we never had before, or those steps to make the process much easier, and things of that nature. So anything else that you can think of? Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No, that's okay. I mean, I think everybody is scared who hasn't upgraded yet. I think everybody's scared. I think that a lot of people are still working through a lot of different lists of things they have to fix before they can update.
Yeah.
But know that I think the most important thing to remember is the reason why you're having to fix all that is because we didn't have this version. And because this version is so cloud-based and they're not allowing you can still do the same types of magic that you used to do, but you're now doing it all inside the box, so to speak. Right. You're not going out here and making this change that's going to break every time you upgrade. So upgrades after this should be virtually painless, because it happens. It's everything's there. Are things going to break occasionally? Of course. They're not going to.
Technology always breaks.
Yeah, they're going to
at some point in your life.
Tax this thing over here, and they're going to have to fix it. Of course. But if you think about how much easier it makes your life, dude, where is it? Where's my cell phone? Right here. Okay, this thing freezes up sometimes. I drop it. I have broken a screen before.
Just
sometimes
a
I want to
screen?
throw it. What's that?
Just a screen?
Yes, I've only done it once, actually. It's really good case here. So it drives me up the wall sometimes. There are times I want to throw it across the room because it won't do what I want. How much freaking easier is my life with this thing? Yeah. So
you think about the years, years ago, the things we didn't have that we do today.
Oh, let me tell you.
I'm sitting here watching my grandchildren at, 5, 6, 7 years old play all these video games and stealing their mom and dad's phone so that they can do everything on the smartphone. Mm-hmm. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I couldn't even get caller ID until I was in my 20s. So
I used to travel with a little a laptop, nice, heavy, small but heavy laptop that did practically nothing, a little portable DVD player, a little case of DVDs, whatever like my happy DVDs were, a book or two, maybe 3, a notebook or 2.
Yeah.
Oh, and my TV's in here too.
Think about how many people have ended back pain due to the smartphone and being able to get to iMIS from every device everywhere you go.
Oh,
as long as you have an internet connection.
Yeah.
So
I love being able to
any rate.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to keep you any longer, Beth. I appreciate you coming on here. I specifically wanted to make sure that we brought you on because you are so excited for iMIS EMS. And I know there are a lot of people out there where it's a pain point, and the fact that they're going to be having to upgrade soon. But the fact
that's the other thing about NiUG, though, is definitely while you're upgrading and when you're starting to do new stuff, I'm sure there's going to be some examples, and there's going to be people around who will be able to answer questions. Right. So now more than ever, it's important to keep a membership and keep visiting the community and post when you have questions and see what people are posting about EMS.
Exactly. And that's all, it's all it takes. They just need to post a question, ask if anybody has gone through the upgrade to iMIS EMS. NiUG's going through it over the next couple months. I hope by the end of the year. Let's pray. So I'll be happy to answer any questions and let you all know of anything that might have been a gotcha or a pain point. I'm like you, Beth. I don't sugarcoat things. I sometimes am a little too blunt for my own good.
Why we get along so well.
But at least people know I'm honest, and I try and keep things real. So
I have been known to get myself into trouble occasionally by being like working somewhere and somebody asks me about the product. I'm like, yeah, no, from what you've told me, this isn't for you. Sorry.
Exactly. You can't be afraid
why am I gonna lie to somebody about it? It just doesn't make sense.
Agreed. For sure. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really, truly appreciate your time and your honesty and your candidness, and the fact that you did not get paid any extra money to talk about how awesome iMIS EMS is. So thank you for that. Thank you for the partnership that we have with HigherLogic. And I can't wait to use Thrive, and I'm super excited, and the direction that your company has been taking with new leadership over the last 2 years, it's really exciting. So congratulations to you all. Thrive looks amazing, and we'll talk to you again soon. Hopefully we'll be able to show some customizations that we've been able to do. Don't like that word, but customizations through API. How's that?
Yeah. So some cool magic we're able to do completely inside the box without having to do anything.
And when we move over to iMIS EMS and Thrive, we'll be sure to have a webinar so all of you can see all the cool new things we're doing and where to find things and how to change your profile and your, for lack of a better term, landing page in HigherLogic and Thrive and all those things. So we're looking forward to it.
Yes, it's going to be awesome.
So, thank you so much, Beth, and I hope to talk to you soon. And thank you all for listening. And I hope to have another podcast for you in the coming month. And I apologize for not having the last couple months because it's been a little insane with our events. But we're hopefully back on schedule at this point. Check out the iMIS Advanced User Summit for some advanced training for those of you who have been using iMIS for a long time. We have that coming up October 25th and 26th, as well as several webinars that are in the pipeline to have you utilize and receive iMIS training that you need. So thank you so much, and we'll talk to you all soon. Take care.